This is going to be a very quick and easy drawing here to show you how to do a revolve in 3D design. It's not that hard, but you do have to know some things about a drawing. You'll notice here on the screen I've got a line, and this line is the center line of my drawing, of my part. You have to start with that center line. Now, if I'm going to have a round part and I'm going to revolve into a 3D object, it has to have a diameter. And of course, we're only going to be working with half the part, because half the diameter, or the radius, because when it revolves in 3D, we're going to get the whole thing. You can only work with half of it. And so if I've got an object that's going to be 1.5 inches in diameter, then pretty clearly my outer rim is going to have a radius of only 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to use an offset here, and it'll be 0.75 inches. Offset 0.75, and click, and we'll work it to the left. Now I have to have some sort of solid material there, so I have to have a line that's going to go from one to the other. Now there's my back, the back basic bottom of my object. It'll have some kind of thickness, so let's go 0.06. That happens to work well with my 3D printer. 0.06 inches in height. We're going to have a hub or a hole here that's going to be 1/4 of an inch in the opening. So again, we're only working with the radius. So half of 1/4 inch is 0.125. And we'll do that as an offset. 0.125, and pick that. And there's our offset. Now, clearly, if this is a hole, everything has to be gone. So we're going to trim that right there. Now we have a hole. Notice that we're keeping our center point. That's very important. In fact, you could go ahead and put a circle right there, right in the center. That's your center hole. And notice I just threw a random radius circle in that place. It's just a placeholder. It's not part of the part. Now, what if I want a tire on this side? Let's go another offset of 0.06. And then an offset here. Our tire is going to be the same, 0.06. And I trim that off, and I trim that, and I trim that, and I trim that, and that. Now I've got a tire. My center part here would be just happy as could be if it had a hub. So let's do an offset of 0.03 or something like that. And this will be my hub, and an offset of 0.08. I'm just picking numbers at random here. It doesn't really matter what these are. Just something to show a material there. And I'm trimming this out. And here, and here. Now, what if I want to fillet in here? And in this case, I can do a fillet. Oh, let's say a radius of 0.03 here, and we'll do about the same radius right here. There. Now we've got a tire right in here. We've got a hub right in here. We have a distance from the center line to the inside of the hub, and everything looks like if that revolved out, it gives a pretty good wheel. So let's do something here where we're going to make this a polyline. Our program for revolving this into a 3D object works really great if we have a polyline. Now it'll work this way. It'll work with just plain old lines. You see each one of these is an individual line, but it works a lot better with polylines. So PE for polyline. Edit, pick a line. Do I want to turn it into one? Yes. And what do I want to do with it? I want to join everything together. So I just pick them all. And now I've got one big polyline. That is exactly 0.125 inches from the center. Now, what if I went around this? I want to put some spokes in this wheel later. Well, I can go ahead and make some holes that will look pretty good. Something about that big, I don't know. I'm just picking numbers. And let's see, I want to go, let's move that from the center of that to the center of that. Now let's do an array. And I pick, select my objects, and I pick the center, will be right there in the center. 8. Okay, let's try 8. There's 8 of them. Okay, now this looks a little bit odd, doesn't it? I've got this odd hole here, and I've got these lightning holes around here, but I don't have a rim or anything. It's all just a drawing. It's kind of sketchy, really. And what I could do is make a circle that would represent the outer perimeter of my wheel right there. And I think we're good to go. We can save that and we can work with it to go ahead and create a 3D part. And File, Save As, and we'll go up here, Wheel and Hub. Change everything. Okay, there's Wheel and Hub. Now we're done with the AutoCAD part of this. We're going to go ahead and fold it down. And let's bring up our 3D program. This is the other wheel that we drew earlier, but we extruded that wheel in several steps. This one we're going to revolve. So let me go ahead and close this drawing. Yes, I'm going to save anything? No. And get a new drawing up, which amazingly is going to be exactly the same name. Screen capture. Come on, open up. There we go. Wheel and Hub. And open. Okay. Now there's our new drawing. And as you remember, we don't want this page. We want to go to Activate 2D Sketch. And now we have a grid. We've got all the parts we need to do this extrusion properly. So what I'm going to do, though, is I'm only going to copy. We're going to make the revolve first. And I'm going to copy this right here. Center, Shift. And I've got a circle. I'm going to go ahead and copy this inner part. And we're going to take off with that. Control-C, copy that. Let's build a new part. So we have to start with a new part. And it'll give us a new part screen. And there's our new part screen. Remember, we have to click on to our plane. And then that's telling it where we want to start sketching. So there's our plane. Now remember, we've got there's 3 planes that we're dealing with here actually. And if I want to draw on the XY axis, then wouldn't that Z axis be the one that we'd want to work with? Control T, and there's our sketch. And since we have snap on, we're going to go ahead and just snap on right there. Now, we can get rid of these locator circles. That's all these were, just locators. And now then we can go into part modeling and we're going to hit revolve, revolve. And see, our sketch is already loaded, but it wants to know what kind of axis are we going to deal with. And in this case, we're going to deal with this Y axis right here. And so we're going to click and see it's a highlighted window. It's got a little blue background. That's where it's asking you, what axis are you going to use? We're going to use that axis. And it gives us this kind of representation of our wheel right here. And we go, okay. And look at that. Instantly, we got us a wheel. looks very similar to the one that we created in all those steps before. But now we need to punch those holes out of it, right? So let's pick on a plane, activate 2D sketching. And see, it brought it all up just like we wanted. Let's go ahead and minimize this and go to our sketch. Now the parts that we want are the holes. So we're going to pick all those holes, and we've got a locator center. I'm going to pick that big, I'm holding down Shift key. Now we've got our holes. Control C. Let's go over here and open up our new part, that one right there, and hit Control T. And it's going to drop all those holes right where we want them. Now we get rid of that one. That was just a locator hole. Here's the one that shows that we're dead center. That's our rim. Now we're leaving these punch holes, you might say. And let's go to part modeling. And this time we're going over to extrude holes, cut. And we'll go ahead and go with extrude. And it, as usual, brings up 5. We could hit reverse and go the other direction. But we don't care in this case because we're going to go through everything. And we just punch that, and it cuts the holes for us. Boom. And notice how this wheel looks very similar to the one that we created with all those other moves before. So if you make the right drawing, you can actually pick up and give yourself a little bit of a simpler task. We don't, fillet is already done for us. All of these holes are just a couple of moves. And we've gone ahead and created a wheel. That's another way to do it. I think this is the easier way to do it, but you have to do a little bit of thinking and planning ahead and make your part the way you want it in a profile. Not too hard to do. And that's all there is. The point to remember in this is that when you're doing a revolve, you really, really need a polyline, a closed polyline of some kind. That's all there is to it. Thanks for watching.